You have a goal on the mind, what you want to achieve. You start walking, you start doing your jobs and your obligations, but along this way, you are meeting a distraction, which is giving you a lot of positive emotions.
If the way how you feel about yourself walking through daily life, if you are not satisfied with it and you want to change something about it.
If you want to attain a new skill, let's just say you want to learn another language. The quickest way to learn this language is, for the next 30 days, you take care, you have something to eat.
I do think that if you are looking at the world already with predetermined concepts, looking at the world already with some type of expectation,
I'm so excited that you're here because I feel like the modern world is lacking self-discipline, self-knowledge, and they're lacking connection to their authentic selves as human beings.
So, when it comes to developing something about yourself, it doesn't matter what it is. If it is just following up in becoming great in any type of sport, or even if you want to build up like a small community or something for yourself. It's about if you want to go somewhere, if you have a goal and want to go somewhere. Along this way, you will meet different type of hindrances that we call, that will sometimes make it difficult for you to, let's say, reach the goal where you would like to go. And to very easily explain it, one way, for example, is if you are too easily being caught by positive emotions. So
which type of positive emotions?
All types that is raising something inside of you that you are relating to, that feels really good now. But it takes you out of your ordinary. So that means you have a goal on the mind, what you want to achieve. You start walking, you start doing your jobs and your obligations, but along this way, you are meeting a distraction, which is giving you a lot of positive emotions. Because you are in that average state of the mind, that overall, let's say, normal state of the mind. Now, if it takes you out of the average of being positive, it's very easy for us that we get attached to these type of feelings. So what it ultimately means, you're going to lose track of your goal because you would prefer right now to spend more time with all of these things that give you positive emotions.
Can you give an example of one of these positive emotions or a situation that someone might have?
Positive emotions, for example, let's take a very nice one, fame. Yes, you have a goal in the mind, what you want to achieve, but along this way, you feel there is that word of fame. And so what does it mean? It means you are getting the views, you're getting the sight of different people, and now you are encountering something that you haven't planned about it before. But now that you meet it, and now that you feel it, that it's this type of fame that you could get from the people, well, now the question still is if you can stick to your initial plan or not. Or is the fame going to move in front of all of this? And it's not your mission anymore that was important to you, but now suddenly you are replacing your initial goal with something that gave you positive emotions along this way.
If the way how you feel about yourself walking through daily life, if you are not satisfied with it and you want to change something about it, there are now two ways. Either you take it into your hands, or you try to change all these external stimuli, all these external influences, to adjust them in such a way that they are going to behave in the way how you expect them to behave. So the colleagues should be exactly how you imagine your colleagues to be. The government should bring out exactly the policies that you want them to bring out. The world is going to develop exactly the way how you imagine it should happen. And now I just ask you, which of these two ways, changing yourself or trying to change the outside world, which of these two ways do people think is the more realistic one?
Yourself.
So that's the bottom line. Very simple. The realization, of course, it's natural if you don't think about exactly this type of thinking. Of course, it's normal that we are being influenced by external things. Until you realize there is no way that you could ever change all of this on the outside.
I started with the age of 4 doing, let's say, these physical activities already. The development, I would say, for me was gradual. I always was part of it. What we all encounter in our lifetimes is what we call suffering in all different types of variations. There are methods included, involved in these practices, which are helping you to overcome the suffering. And now this is a very important part. You can live a life and avoid suffering, but overcoming suffering is something different. Overcoming implies you felt it already, but found a way now to still deal with it, cope with it, and that same type of suffering is just not appearing anymore because you have overcome it. Shaolin Monastery is a Buddhist monastery. You are not allowed to leave the monastery, and you have many, many different rules that you need to, let's say, abide to while you stay inside the monastery. If you want to develop something, if you want to attain a new skill, let's just say you want to learn another language. The quickest way to learn this language is, for the next 30 days, you take care, you have something to eat, you have enough sleep, and the rest of the time you study. You don't watch television, you don't go on social media, you don't play any games, you don't go out on party, you don't drink alcohol, you don't take drugs. You sleep, you eat, and you train.
I would like to give an introduction to something that in the Shaolin community, in the Buddhist community, it's already widespread and well known that there is a so-called guideline or a so-called Noble Eightfold Path, it is called. It is called Noble Eightfold Path because it is describing a journey. To give you an overview what's going to come right now, maybe it's easier if I just mention all 8 first of all. Number 1, the right understanding. Number 2, the right thought, right thinking. Number 3, right speech. Number 4, right action or right behavior. Number 5, right livelihood, the right way of earning your living. Number 6, the right effort. Number 7, the right concentration. And number 8, the right meditation. So, what does it mean, right understanding? And why is it, for example, mentioned now as the first state? I do think that if you are looking at the world already with predetermined concepts, looking at the world already with some type of expectation, then it's going to be very difficult to really see how the things are. So right understanding involves all these type of learning to see how the things are. Similar to that story, day and night, both at the same time. Same as the view, nothing in a way is permanent. The same way how you are realizing that many emotional states, many thoughts that are coming, they come and they go. None of them lasts. So that means there is a fluctuation of things. Right understanding means you're starting to look out in the world, observe just more around you to figure out maybe if there is a type of structure that you can see, things that are repeating.
I think, it's like if you look in the mirror and you say, oh, there's anger inside of me, there's judgment inside of me. Is that also associated with ill will? Is it towards yourself, towards others, to the world? What does that mean, ill will?
To the mental state. Whatever triggers it is pretty irrelevant. It's sometimes also, just think about it. When we were young and we didn't get what we wanted, we became angry. As a teenager, somebody took something away from you, you got angry. Nowadays, 21st century, somebody takes something away from you, you're angry. The reasons why this anger came up always different. But the anger is always the same. The anger you feel today is the same anger that you felt when you were in young ages. So that means there might be the feeling that outside circumstances are triggering something inside of you. Yes, it's triggering something, but what eventually comes up is what you have not been able to adjust in the proper way yet. And the same is like ill will. Ill will is a state of the mind. It's not just, doesn't matter if it's towards yourself, towards another person, towards an animal, towards your colleagues. It's always the same ill will. It is something inside of you which, if you don't pay attention to, is going to be a hindrance along your way of walking. We don't try to get rid of all of these things. You don't want to get rid of the body that it's never going to be inside of your body anymore. You don't want to get rid of your jealousy when it comes up. You don't want to get rid of the joy that you feel. You don't want to get rid of your feelings. You want to have a very great variety of different feelings that you can tap into. The only thing which makes the difference is if you are tapping into this world of feelings consciously, or if that world of feelings is just unconsciously imploding inside of you. This makes the difference. And so to overcome it means to realize it is there. Yeah, but now, like sometimes, what to do? You need to find something, a state of the state of level on which you are coordinating. Which means you have to stand above you. Learn to get into a perspective where you are standing above you, which means this is not about you at the moment. This is not about you. Stand above it. It is about you see, okay, you see that person at the moment has an issue. How would you, as somebody watching at you, help him?
How would you coach, guide,
How
teach?
would you coach yourself, guide yourself to the better version? And this is what it only means, to sometimes de-identify yourself with this one.
Yes.
If you are caught inside here, I think it becomes difficult.
There's some neuroscience that talks about that. We're really good at being a negative or a critical coach to ourselves and putting ourselves down in those situations, as opposed to stepping aside and coaching from a different perspective to ourselves. And there's neuroscience that backs the importance of that as a tool to go beyond it as well. So I think it's really important. How often do you feel these emotions or feelings of ill will? Anger, jealousy, frustration. How often do you feel them? And how do you teach or coach yourself beyond them?
If I want to, I can tap inside of it right away, and my whole day is filled with it. No matter where I watch around on the street, there's no problem at all for me to generate the feeling that ill will starts to dominate.
Really?
Yes.
At any moment you could go there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just then I just asked, this feeling that you are in, does it feel good?
No.
You know? And then the point is just like this, that it doesn't even feel good to be in it.
Right.
You know? So if we would say ill will, if at least it would give you something by staying inside that state of the mind, at least then I would understand. But if you watch at it, there is nothing positive, zero. There is no benefit to yourself, and there is especially no benefit to the people around you that this ill will is going to cause. So that means, what is the first thing that I do when I realize, let's say, I have this feeling? First of all, I need to know from what does it come? What is it at the moment that triggers it? So I try to identify very quickly what is at the moment the source that is triggering.
Getting out of the comfort zone is part of the process. This energy is able to take different forms and different shapes.
If you don't know how the rules of the games are, if you cannot read the other person,
it is something that no one normally in this world already started to teach you.
it's a clear mind. It's not a mind which is like based upon emotion.
Many people can criticize you probably, but if your father criticizes you, it has a different value.
You just feel more stable, you just feel better, that when you go somewhere, you know that you are feeling strong.
To realize for yourself that there was something in the mind, there was a concept, a belief system, a way of thinking inside of you.
I see such a routine and consistency, and everybody's got their roles here and responsibilities. How important is it, first of all, to have those roles and responsibilities?
We are trying to, let's say, share something, the way how we are sharing knowledge. It's not normally by giving out something. That sounds now very strange, but disciples who come here, our guests that are coming here, it's not that they are coming here in order to wait and to receive something, meaning, to be honest, there is nothing in a way besides talking to them that I normally try to give them. The reason why I do talk to people that come here is because my aim is to take something away from them.
How good, when you watch out in this life and when you watch out at yourself, can you see all these things that needed to be lined up in order for you, let's say, to succeed in something particular. And the better, like in the chess game, the better you can read the signs, the better you understand how that game there works, the higher the possibilities are that this game is going to end in the way how you imagine this game to end, meaning that you're the winner. If you don't know how the rules of the games are, if you cannot read the other person, if you don't even know yourself good enough,
in the morning when you wake up, it is something very, very natural that's happening, that you open up the eyes, you get out of the bed, and so then it starts to be normal that you are interested in what's going on out there. Which means you look at the mobile phone, you look at the television, you look outside, you listen to things that are around you. That means awareness is naturally driven outwards of you in the moment where we wake up.
You are not spending too much time, let's say, on the smartphone or on the internet, or even you don't watch any movies or any television or any shows. So you are very careful about where are you spending your time actually in those 24-hour day that you have. Let's say in winter time you sleep 8 hours, 9 hours, okay? Still afterwards you have 15 hours. What are you doing with those 15 hours?
That you see it on yourself first. Which means you don't turn the view out there and look out. The first thing to do is you turn around and see yourself. Because then in the moment where you are doing this, you are going to see yourself. And this is the beginning where once you spend time with yourself, the insight comes. Yeah, because all the time we are interested in seeing what is everything existing out there. And the whole approach of this Buddhist monastery, of this ancient way of teaching, let's say, it's different to what you see nowadays in the world, because it seems like it's always about adding something more. You are learning something because you think you are missing it. You are going to another country because you think you are missing that experience. You are trying out another type of food because you think you are missing that taste. Transformation is something really important, because transformation only means it maybe doesn't look like the initial investment of your energy. It is because this energy is able to take different forms and different shapes, but it's still the same investment from your lifetime that you gave into this life.
Because when I talk about practice, it's not just about physical practice. It can also mean it's something that you practice which is good for your mind. Sometimes you practice something which is good for the way how you are breathing. Sometimes you practice something which is then eventually good for your mood. Sometimes you practice something which is then really physically good for the way how you look. So practice for me is just that you are developing something on you, not just like physically speaking. So, and this is what the practice times are dedicated for.
Right now we have 8 billion people in this world. Everybody has his own ideas and his own expectations, maybe, how he sees himself and what he would like to do with himself during this lifetime. It's about taking away everything that is in front of a person's eye that has covered up the clear view upon how this world, how your internal nature, how your emotions, your mindset is all connected with each other. So the reason why I talk, which seems like I'm giving out something, no, I'm not giving out. I'm just saying something in order for you yourself to let something fall, to realize for yourself that there was something in the mind, there was a concept, a belief system, a way of thinking inside of you all the time already, that maybe now you realize that one has no fundament anymore. Actually, it is blocking me more than it actually does help me.
This complete way of thinking, and what is like really important also to share to the people outside there, because I don't think that the majority of people is interested in punching and kicking. No, it is about to just get access to more different methods that you can use in order to improve the way how this life feels to you. This is the main point of all of these practices. So it doesn't matter how your life look at the moment, but what we all have the same is you have a body, I have a body. And there are methods to keep the body healthy. You have a mind, I have a mind. And there are ways how to develop the mind in such a way that you don't make too many mistakes when it comes to taking decisions. Meaning, there are ways how to take decisions that afterwards you are not going to regret.
You come here because you want to learn something. And I observe you and I try to figure out what is it that might be the key that you learn to let go of something. And this letting go is of course going to be uncomfortable. Why? Because it is something that no one normally in this world already started to teach you. In our school systems, in no matter what system, you don't find the subject how to let go. You find the subject how to get more. And so that means in that moment when people are getting confronted the first time with this type of teachings, it's uncomfortable. But it is very similar, like at least when I try to compare it, many people can criticize you probably. But if your father criticizes you, it has a different value.
It's better to take decisions in a state of the mind. It's a clear mind. It's not a mind which is like based upon emotion. Not a mind that was just angry a few seconds before. People have different emotions, we have different emotions. Nevertheless, taking decisions out of emotion is not a good idea.
Getting out of the comfort zone is part of the process. If I realize somebody already starts to feel like very confident again, yeah, very bright, then I know, okay, it's time to shut him down again. Yes, and so someone is always confronted between here, then he's brought down. Then he gets methods how he will build himself up again. Then he gets smashed down again. And so it continues until you think, sometimes it's also very paradox, that it seems like
this is what it's about. To go deeper into yourself and try to penetrate all the layers that are making you become who you are. That it's about the life quality of each individual. That's what is the important part. The life quality. It's not about the punching and it's not about the kicking. But life quality sometimes can also mean you just feel more stable, you just feel better, that when you go somewhere, you know that you are feeling strong, you are feeling ready, you feel that you are able to protect the ones that you like. So that means that you are feeling strong, that you feel solid, that you feel prepared. This can also have a significant influence in the way of your life quality, in the way of how you are like walking through this lifetime. Be stable.
mainly a lot of the teachings within this organization, within the Shaolin Temple, that somehow are dealing with the character of oneself. A lot of these methods and teachings mainly come from Buddhist teachings. Yeah. And within that field of Buddhist teachings, it already helps to try and remove those judgments between this is something good, this is something bad. The way of what I think is useful to do is to think in terms of consequence. You can think like this, it will have a consequence. You can think like that, it also has another consequence. The same goes for thinking, talking, your action, your behaving. So these are the three areas where I think you have quite a lot of influence on the outcome of your life. How you think, how you talk, what you talk, how you do, what you do. These are the three things that are like in our hands. If somebody is really an unwritten piece of paper, if somebody would be like this and would have no clue, so okay, in which direction now should I point my life? How should I behave? What would be the proper thing to do? Then the Buddhist teachings made it actually very, very simple. Because they start, first of all, trying to put you into a framework that you understand why at all should I care about the Buddhist teachings. Living a life is connected with suffering. This suffering can mean it's psychological suffering, mental suffering, at the same time going to the dentist, physical suffering, doing some type of really hard training, suffering or pain of your body as well. So different types of suffering. Sometimes I hear then people saying, yes, but it sounds so pessimistic because life is also filled with joy and life is also filled with happiness. Yes, it's just that for this Buddhist teaching, it also is, life is connected with suffering. That suffering has a reason. The reason why people suffer, the reason why suffering in this world exists, there are causes for it. These causes are greed, hate, and ignorance, or sometimes also not knowing. Greed, hate, ignorance, not knowing. Greed meaning the suffering sometimes comes for us because we are not satisfied with what we have. We want more from what gives us positive feelings. Whatever that is. You can have a really, really nice relationship, a really nice partnership. But eventually, also that one's gonna end. Not because you want it. Somewhere there is something which is gonna end it. And it's always that when something that gave you positive feelings starts to come to a change, that is that moment where then the suffering starts to arise again, for example. Now, hate meaning you get something that you actually don't want. You are confronted with something that actually you don't want. You want to have distance, nevertheless. You can't get to that distance because it just happens. So meaning greed is you don't get what you want, and hate is you get what you don't want. So in both cases, you feel already that the one thing is, if you are having positive emotions towards something, that one carries a seed of suffering, but at the same time, if you are having rejection for something, is also already carrying the seed of suffering inside of it.